This audio story, The Heirloom Affair, is an original work created by Jason Luke Griffith and produced by Twin Flames Publishing. All content, including narration, writing, character portrayals, and audio production, is protected under copyright law. Copyright 2025 Twin Flames Publishing. All rights reserved. Any reproductive, distribution, or adaptation without express written permission is strictly prohibited. Unauthorized use of this material may result in legal action. And now, The Heirloom Affair. Paris, 1933. The rain along Rue de Rennes had softened. Less insistent, more introspective. Shermon Locke didn't speak for a while. The café had emptied after dusk, leaving porcelain and steam in its absence. Luca Fontaine waited across the table, pen dormant, gaze patient. Sherman stirred his espresso once, clockwise. "They think my work began with a headline," he said. "But it began with hesitation and a purse." Luca tilted his head slightly, not prompting, just listening. The porcelain cooled slowly. Across from Luca, Sherman watched the steam drift and let the quiet undo him. The story hadn't begun with proof. It had begun before memory learned how to label it. His office was quiet that day. Montparnasse wasn't. The bookshop downstairs had argued about Dostoevsky. The upstairs window had leaked. And Shermon Locke, coat hung, shoes dry, had planned not to work. The knock came soft, intentional. She entered before he answered. Wool coat and gloves stitched with wear. "I've lost something," she said. Sherman didn't rise. "Lost things prefer it that way." She sat without asking. Didn't cross her legs. Didn't fidget. "It's a purse," she clarified. "Blue leather. Taken. Or misplaced." Sherman glanced at the rain beyond the glass. "The police overlook handbags. So do detectives." She nodded, then reached into her coat. She placed the envelope on his desk. Not rushed, not rehearsed, just placed. 500 francs. Neatly folded. Clean. Unspoken. Sherman didn't touch it. She looked him in the eye. "I'm not here for pity. I'm here for precision." He studied her gloves. "What's inside?" "A family heirloom," she said. She said it like it meant nothing, and everything. And so, Sherman left his office and began investigating. He began the search without a map. The last place she recalled, a cab from Odeon. Pale gloves, faint perfume, a driver who smelled of sardines. Sherman found the man, Marceau, parked near the river's edge, tapping rhythm on the dash like he played piano. She was polite. Marceau said, "Paid in cash." Said she dropped something. I looked. I found nothing. Sherman searched the cab. Seat fabric torn. Thread caught in the hinge. Red silk. Too fine. Too deliberate. The thread suggested precision. The kind found in pages, not streets. He headed toward the bookshop without telling anyone why. At the bookstall near the Seine, a vendor recalled her asking for poetry. Not Baudelaire. Not Verlaine. Rimbaud. The unpublished fragments. She asked if words ever hid names. The vendor said. He said it like a joke. Sherman didn't laugh. Inside a dog-eared volume of verse, he found a slip of paper. L'héritage ne pèse pas quand le secret est partagé. Inheritance does not weigh heavy when the secret is shared. It was folded twice. Ink freshly dried. That fragment folded in verse said more than testimony. He walked back toward the flat, past curfews and unanswered calls. He found his way to her flat. One room, curtain drawn, wine untouched. She didn't greet him. She didn't ask what he'd found. He held up the thread. It wasn't yours. Her voice dropped half a register. It belonged to the man I couldn't name. She told the truth then. Not loud. Low. A courier for intelligence operatives, entrusted with documents embedded in disguise. The brooch inside the purse wasn't ornament. It was information. The handoff failed. The contact never arrived. The purse vanished somewhere between protocol and panic. Her instructions: report nothing. Retrieve everything. Shermon asked what was on the film. She didn't answer. She left him with silence, not guidance. So Shermon followed the last certainty, the route she'd taken before the truth vanished. He retraced the cab's route. Café Rouget. A waiter recalled her, recalled someone else. A man in grey, didn't speak, left quickly. Behind the alley of Café Rouget, Shermon found a coat. Tweed, lining torn, pocket wax stained. Inside, a menu from Le Talon Rouge. No reservation attached, just initials, VC. He brought it back to her. She blinked. Once. He wasn't supposed to be there, she said. Shermon didn't ask who was. Her admission tilted the timeline, but Shermon held it steady. Answers weren't urgent, only movement was. 2 nights passed. Shermon sat in his office, rereading the menu. It hadn't shouted, but it gestured. Le Talon Rouge shared walls with the old theatre, and someone had been sloppy with shadows. So he went. No question, no invitation, just fog and instinct. Same hour, same silence. The alley wasn't empty. It just knew how to pretend. Shermon leaned against the brick, watching steam rise from a distant street vent like breath withheld. The man in grey arrived without theatre, hands gloved, steps deliberate. Shermon didn't speak. He just extended one hand, open, not inviting. The man reached into his coat and placed the brooch between Sherman's fingers. No dialogue, no hesitation, just wait. The man turned and disappeared into fog. Shermon didn't move for a long time. The object had returned. Later that evening, he returned to the flat. The wine was still untouched. Her gloves remained folded. Shermon set the brooch between them on the table. Madeleine took it without ceremony. No hesitation, no glance toward sentiment. She opened the clasp expertly, tilting it until the film slipped into her palm like a breath withheld. Then, without pause, she set the empty brooch aside, near the gloves, but not close enough to suggest it belonged. "It's what you wanted," he said. Madeleine didn't look at it, didn't touch it. "Not anymore," she said softly. The film was the truth. The brooch was just the disguise. He left it there. She didn't protest, didn't reclaim it. Shermon stepped out without hearing the door close. Back at the cafe, the porcelain cooled again. Luca hadn't written a word. "She trusted you," he said. "No," Shermon replied. "She trusted no one. But she paid you. That was her safety net." "What happened to the brooch?" Shermon reached into his coat and placed it on the table. Engraved. Simple. False. Luca didn't ask to photograph it. Shermon didn't offer. "You never wanted the case," Luca said. Shermon watched the rain. "I didn't," he said quietly. "But silence pays well, and she paid in advance."